You might have heard the name Taika Waititi recently, or it might be new to you, but either way, he's one of the most multi-talented performers in Hollywood right now. His work always manages to reach a variety of audiences, and his epic resume includes everything from being a director, writer, a scene-stealing actor, and more. Waititi started out his film career making a smaller, independent comedies, but these days the filmmaker is an Oscar winner and has been behind the latest installments of the popular Thor movies, including 2017's Thor Ragnarok. As a person, Taika is an interesting one as well. And from his upbringing in New Zealand to some of his quirks, I can guarantee there are some things you didn't know about this talented star. Well, if you want to know more about Taika Waititi's story and journey to fame, then stay tuned because we'll get into all of that and more here for you on Famous Life. Taika David Cohen was born August 16, 1975, in Ragnarok in the Bay of Plenty region of New Zealand's North Island, growing up on both the East Coast and in the Aro Valley of Wellington. He's the son of Mother Robin Cohen, who was a teacher, and Taika Waititi Sr., an artist and farmer. His father is Maori, while his mother's side of the family were Russian Jews mixed with some Irish and other European ancestry. So, Taika describes himself as a Polynesian Jew. He was raised more connected to his Maori roots, and in their household, he claims Judaism was not actively practiced. On Visitation, a podcast run by Elijah Wood and producer Daniel Noah, Waititi shared that his dad was also in a biker gang. He said he was one of the founding members of Satan's Slaves. While he said he wasn't close with his father, according to Taika, his dad was still very proud of all the things he'd accomplished. And if you're wondering, Satan's Slaves is a European outlaw motorcycle club primarily based out of the UK, said to be one of the country's oldest and largest outlaw bike clubs. Well, Taika's parents split up when he was around 5 years old, which was when he was mainly raised by his mother. He attended Onslow College in New Zealand and then studied theater at Victoria University of Wellington, where he graduated in 1987 with a Bachelor of Arts. Taika used his mother's surname Cohen for his work in film and writing and his father's Waititi for his visual art projects, but following the success of his first short film, he went on to use Waititi professionally. During his time at Victoria University, Taika was also part of the 5-member comedy troupe So You're a Man, which toured New Zealand and Australia and was always half of the comedy duo The Humor Beasts opposite Jermaine Clement, which got the Billy T Award, New Zealand's highest comedy accolade in 1999. He also performed a lot of regular stand-up gigs around New Zealand, and in 2004 also launched his solo production, Taika's Incredible Show, which he said about wasn't that incredible but had a cool poster which I drew myself. Taika's been involved in the arts for several years, dabbling in a variety of interests. He said about this: "As an artist, I have a wide range of creative outlets. Perhaps it's an inability to sit still, to explore a single form or medium to its ultimate end. Perhaps it's the coffee. I think it's because I'm an artist who expresses himself in whatever medium is readily at hand. There are so many interesting ways to create worlds and beings. How can someone only be interested in one method? It's like only cooking with leeks and onions. Though I guess some people can do things with just leeks and onions that, when eaten, would change your worldview or break your heart. Personally, I need a lot of different ingredients to do that." Among his range of artistic interests, Taika also started to make comical short films for New Zealand's annual 48-hour film contest. One of his short films, 2 Cars, 1 Night, which he made in 2003, was nominated for an Academy Award in 2005, and Taika famously pretended to be asleep as the nominations were being read. His second short film, Tamatu, was about a group of Maori soldiers in Italy during World War II, and it won a handful of international awards, even becoming eligible for an Oscar nomination. Waititi spent 2 years in Berlin as well, working and exhibiting in the Schliemann 40 House, and spent some years experimenting with photography and painting too, even illustrating a book of short stories titled The Keys to Hell. In fact, in a TED Talk, Taika revealed his background was mainly in painting and visual arts, and later was when he decided to try out animation, fashion, and more. He said, "My job is to express myself and share my ideas and my point of view. It happens to be that I am using filmmaking right now." Well, in 2007, Taika's first feature film, a rom-com titled Eagle vs. Shark, was released in the US for limited distribution, and he also directed 2 episodes of the TV series Flight of the Conchords, a 12-part comedy series created by and starring his friends Jermaine Clement and Brett McKenzie for HBO. Taika's second feature-length film, 2010's Boy, premiered at the Sundance Film Festival that year, and it's an exploration of some of the characters and ideas introduced in his Oscar-nominated short Two Cars One Night. It was shot in the Bay of Plenty, and Waititi also took one of the main roles as the ex-con father who returns to his family. It was nominated for the Grand Jury Prize, and when it was released in New Zealand, it received enthusiastic reviews, also being successful at the local box office. Boy actually ended up becoming the highest-grossing local film in New Zealand history. In 2011, Waititi directed the New Zealand TV show Super City, and that same year worked on his acting when he portrayed Thomas Kamauku in the superhero film Green Lantern. In 2013, Taika co-wrote, co-directed, and acted in the vampire comedy mockumentary What We Do in the Shadows, again alongside friend and fellow comedian Jermaine Clements. Taika starred as Viago, and the film premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in 2014. Waititi and Clement played members of a group of vampires who live in a gothic house in modern-day Wellington. A TV version of the film was signed on for in 2018, with Waititi as the executive producer and director, premiering on FX in March 2019. The second season of the show received a Primetime Emmy Award nomination for Outstanding Comedy Series. Taika's next feature, Hunt for the Wilder People, premiered at Sundance in 2016, and when it was released in his native New Zealand, the comedy adventure movie broke his own previous record for a New Zealand film in its opening weekend. This movie is based on a book and centers on a young boy and grumpy man on the run in the forest. Reportedly, this film, being well received at Sundance, led Taika to be chosen to direct the Marvel Studios film Thor Ragnarok. In 2017, he also won the award for New Zealander of the Year. That same year was when Taika directed Marvel's Thor Ragnarok, which was his first major studio film, and in the movie, he also portrayed Korg, a Cronin via motion capture. As you likely know, Thor Ragnarok was successful at the box office and earned critical praise. In 2019, Taika wrote and directed the film Jojo Rabbit, based on the book Caging Skies, which is the story of a child set in the 1940s in the Hitler Youth, whose mother is secretly hiding a Jewish girl in their house. As you know, Taika loves to make cameos in his own movies, and this one was no different. He played Adolf Hitler as the boy's imaginary friend. Taika received Academy Award nominations for Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay for Jojo Rabbit, winning the latter and becoming the first person of Maori descent to win an Academy Award in this category. In 2021, Taika also won the Grammy Award for Best Compilation Soundtrack for Visual Media as a producer of this film soundtrack. In 2018, Lucasfilm announced Taika would be a director on the Star Wars live-action series The Mandalorian, which premiered in November 2019. Waititi also voices a droid bounty hunter in the show named IG-11, and he directed the series' first season finale. In 2020, Taika portrayed Ratcatcher in the DC superhero film The Suicide Squad, released in 2021, and also in August 2021, he played the character Antoine, the antagonist in the action comedy movie Free Guy. Furthermore, Waititi co-created the comedy series Reservation Dogs, which follows the lives of a group of indigenous Oklahoma teens and comprises a main cast, directors, producers, and writers of indigenous peoples, and it premiered on FX to positive reviews. He also executive produced, directed, and starred as Blackbeard in the HBO Max comedy Our Flag Means Death. One of the biggest recent projects and most talked about ones that Taika was behind was writing and directing the superhero film Thor: Love and Thunder, the sequel to Thor Ragnarok. It was wrapped in 2021 and just released in July 2022. When Marvel announced the fourth Thor film in 2019, Taika knew he wanted to bring some new things to the table, considering his reinvention of Chris Hemsworth as Thor as a looser, more comedic hero was a success. For this next movie, Taika wanted Thor to face his biggest challenge yet, a midlife crisis. Taika explained about Thor, he's someone who has been around for thousands of years, saving lives this whole time. And what was really cool was to try and figure out a way to give him human problems. And what's more human than going through a midlife crisis and trying to figure out what's your purpose in the universe? In this latest installment, we can find Thor embarking on intense battles while also wrestling with existential questions following the aftermath of Avengers Endgame. Also, considering Thor is reunited with his ex-girlfriend Jane, played by Natalie Portman, Taika also aimed to give Marvel fans a different type of storyline. He explained, "I wanted to introduce the idea of love. I think it's a really cool thing that we explore in this film, and this ended up being my first romance." In Love and Thunder, they explore new topics in the MCU like superheroes raising children and dealing with mortality. This type of innovation and unique ideas are some of the reasons why Taika is so beloved in the industry. Not to mention, a fifth Thor installment isn't out of the question either. Before working on Thor, Love and Thunder, Taika also directed a feature film adaptation of the documentary Next Goal Wins, which has been delayed and set for release in 2022 after actor Armie Hammer's scenes were reshot with Will Arnett. In terms of other upcoming projects, Taika is set to direct a live-action film version of Akira and co-write a sequel to What We Do in the Shadows titled We're Wolves, as well as co-write a live-action Star Wars film. He's also said to be writing, directing, and executive producing 2 animated series for Netflix based on Roald Dahl's children's book Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and its sequel, one of which is based on the stories and one focused on the Oompa Loompa characters. Other upcoming things that Taika has signed on for include executive producing and directing the Showtime series The Auteur, writing and directing a film based on Flash Gordon for 20th Century Studios, and in 2021 it was announced he would be adapting The Incal to a feature film. Well, by the sounds of all that, it really seems like Taika Waititi is going to be super busy. Either way, we're excited to see what this ingenious and multifaceted artist will be creating for us next. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to Famous Life and leave a comment for who you'd like us to feature next.